Welcome, everyone. Welcome. Just seeing a notification there. Okay, I think everything's okay. Welcome. We're back here again. Welcome to the greatest man alive. I'm keeping this on. So I'm taking this off. Give me a second. I'm Neptune, god of the sea. Welcome. Shimoge here once again. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I'm on my way to do something. So I just want to get in the quick greatest man alive segment. I got the full segment name in the description. I just put the greatest in the title. But as you can see, the title has to do with Dr. Umar Johnson. Let me introduce myself fully and then let's go. Kabrunam no go ha. Yeah, I'm on the move. Well, I guess I could have brought my maraca. Sometimes I just don't really feel like bringing it. I guess I probably should. I feel better with it around. But I also need to get, well, I have the second one actually. Should I rotate their use? No, I feel like I should get a different one, honestly. And then the other one, maybe I roll it out for big occasions. Anyway, my name's Chimoge, for those of you who don't know. That's my given name. My government name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe. My alternate white structured name is Chimoge Chijoke Ibe Nwoko. Why does that alternate white structured name? I think it's a better question to ask why my government name exists. Obviously, in the world today, having a government name is standard practice. Um, I will say, based on what my ancestors have told me and my own thought, it makes sense to have quote unquote government names. It's just they shouldn't be emphasized as much as they are. And I'll leave it at that for now. But anyway, long story short, um, there's been some sort of discrepancy in my patrilineage. So because of that, by the time I was born, uh, I'll just say it like this. My dad was using eBay as his last name on official documents. And eBay is a shortened form of the last name eBay Nwoko, which my relatives had been using before. And then I got the name eBay. So that's what that is. Anyway, I was born in what people now call Southeast Washington, D.C., about 30 years ago. I'll just get more specific because that's the common practice in the world today. But I want to emphasize I'm not a fan of people. One, obviously, people should not hide their age. That is actually worse. But two, people should not have to give their exact age all the time. And let me explain why quickly. Two things. One, no one is going to live forever. Yes, we reincarnate, but there will be a period where you pass away. Or really, there'll be a moment you pass away, and obviously, you're not gonna be back the next second. So, there'll be some time you're just not in this world, or at least not in life, okay? Because there's spirit in this world. You'll be a spirit for a bit, right? So that is not necessarily a bad thing. Although I want to add as a caveat, no one on Earth today has lived out their max lifespan. We've just fallen, and people are not living long enough. That's a problem. Um, but if you reach your max lifespan, which everyone should, may we all do that, that is not a bad thing to pass away. It's just a resting period. At the same time, while you're alive, it's unhealthy to look at that time because it'll mess you up, obviously. So, inherently, if you're constantly looking at your age, you're looking at the time you pass. One. Two, your age is just such a small component of who you are that to put it among one of the first like 5 or 10 things about yourself in your mind, like most people do, is not healthy. And I'll just leave it at that. Anyway, so with that being said, what's my age? I'm 28 right now. I was born on January 2nd, 1998, during Capricorn season. I prefer to call it Capricorn time, but you know what I mean. Um, I also prefer to call my birthplace something different just because Washington, D.C. is not a natural demarcation. I think everyone's birthplace is sacred to them, so we should respect it as much as possible. So for me, I just want to say that place should be called Rom. That's why my metaphysically correct name is Shimoge Inke Rom, Shimoge of his birthplace. And I've talked about what Rom means in the past. Just stretching here. Now, I'm not just this body you see, I'm also my lineage. Let me talk about that. My matrilineage was born in the village of Ebe Mohafi, and yes, that village can be used as a reference point for my family. For my patrilineage, I want you to turn your attention to the village of Auji Urata, also right there in West Africa. You can use that as a reference point. I currently live in Atlanta, Georgia, and that's where I'm standing right now. And again, I think everyone's current place of residence is also sacred. Obviously, some people are not where they should be, but regardless, you should respect the place you are up to a minimum standard. And I happen to like the area I am. So I want to also note Atlanta is not a natural demarcation. So I just want to say that I prefer to call this place the sacral chakra of the world. And yes, there's evidence for that. um, Anyway, I've registered viewers. There's 12 on the screen right now. Thank you very much. Every view is a blessing. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also comment. All those are blessings, and I read comments at my discretion. Thank you very much. Let me give two facts about myself. Then I'll talk about the topic a bit, and I'll be out. I want to be quick. Fact one. Mm, what do I want to say? Again, coming up with facts about myself is a little difficult. I'm not always looking at myself. Um, I do not like observing trees when they are not healthy. Let me explain what I mean. Trees are obviously necessary for life, and I prefer to call them ekwensu, but whatever. They're necessary for, and again, like, not all. Let me explain it like this. Even if the base template for a life form belongs to one thing, the life form does not necessarily belong to another thing. For example, the base template of anything you call a plant is ekwensu, a type of thing called ekwensu nkeke, right? Like the ekwensu category of life. But most trees are not actually part of the thing ekwensu. For example, there's a type of tree called an iroko tree. That's part of the god of thunder, which is ekwensu's rival. Let me go for a walk. My ancestors are telling me to fly a bit. Hoo, hoo, hoo. All right. So, anyway, back to the topic, just taking a little walk. Um, so trees are not necessarily something I'm obsessed with, but they're necessary for the ambiance. And when they're healthy, it's good because they attract healthy animals and it's nice. Um, but I really don't like looking at trees when they're sick. And I'll say especially if a tall tree is sick, that's just unpleasant to look at. So some people might have a different opinion. I don't like that. So that's one fact. What's another fact about me? I do not like concrete. I do not like concrete. Really, we should we should lay things down on portions of the ground where we want to walk. It just shouldn't be concrete. I really think we should use movable mats. And I also want to say this, I'm not a fan of cars. I think we need to find better technology to move and an overall better movement system. But to the extent we need cars, we still don't need concrete roads. I think um, like we can just have better technology, especially because it's very inconvenient to pave and repave roads. And I'll leave it at that. And let me go walk again. Oh. Okay. So, this video today is about Dr. Umar Johnson's media presentation. What was the title? Again, I don't see the title after I put it up, but I remember the general idea. I titled it something like Dr. Umar Johnson's interviews and overall media presentation are very weird. That might have been exact. Tell me if I got it exactly. Anyway, what am I talking about? I'm talking about two things. One, the fact that he keeps, I'll say this because there are many aspects to this. The greatest man alive, I don't say everything, but I'll say at least two big things. So I want to talk about the fact that he keeps doing um, interviews with the same interviewers. And again, I'm not necessarily, well, I'll just be honest. I think the jury's out for me on the people who interview him at this point. Because he keeps doing interviews with the same people and or news outlets multiple times, and they do not really press him. And let me walk. Anyway, so I'm just thinking of something. Um, Honestly, I'm wondering if, because I'm generally a fan of having background music and stuff like that. I don't really have the extra equipment for that, but I'm wondering if sometimes it's better not to have it. Maybe that's a Chimoge's comment. Or, well, okay, because on my personal network, Moge, check that out. That's a subset of Chimoge's comments. I don't put on background music because the idea is for you to see me raw and fresh. Chimoge's comments, what I've settled on is I want background noise, especially in pre-recorded videos, but not music, and then everywhere else music. But even here, sometimes I wonder if, like, say on live stream, it's good for people to just hear my voice booming in the room. Anyway, just thinking of that. But back to what I was saying, there have been several outlets, and again, I'm not a person who wants to start beef or anything like that, but you know, I'm also not a person who bites my tongue. It's just we have a culture in the world today of starting beef over criticism, which is just not good. You know, uh, I mean, if beef is happening, someone had to have done something really morally wrong. It's not just like you criticize me. But anyway, I just say that to say, I'm not relishing in any sort of calamity or confusion or whatever that'll come up out of this. But there are just several outlets that have interviewed him many times, and especially relative to the amount they interview other people. And it doesn't make sense. Um, and I'll leave it at that. And it especially doesn't make sense because they don't really ask him deep questions about his scandals, you see. So that's just very strange. That has to be looked into. And I'm just going to add this. I'm sure that there's a bunch of people in the know, people who know him or people who run certain circles who maybe won't bat an eye at this or whatever because they know a lot of things. I'm just speaking as a person who's never met him and has no particular connection to him. Um, you know, I'll just say like no connection in this physical world that has been actualized to my knowledge. And I just say that because obviously it's possible for people to have connections they don't know about or whatever. But I'm just saying No one I know knows Dr. Umar to my knowledge. I've never interacted with him, anything like that. And I'll just leave it at that. But just I'm just saying this is a member of the public who doesn't have a connection to him and doesn't really have, um, I don't have a particular reason to support him more than any other, I'll just say, black person, you see, because what he does affects, well, I'll just say it like that. I hope you know what I mean. But just speaking as someone from that vantage point, there's just no way for me to know what's going on behind the scenes. So it wouldn't be fair to criticize me because I'm not party to insider information. Let me walk. Yeah. Okay. Um. Yeah. Every once in a while, I just gotta walk either because I have a thought that I don't really want to express on camera. Because yes, I still preserve my privacy on live, and then also just being stationary and sedentary is not my thing. So there's that, which I mentioned. Yeah, I need to get food anyway. Forgive me, a little worn out. Um, so the interviews are weird, but what's also weird is his overall media presentation. And really, I'm specifically talking about the fact that he does not have his own YouTube channel or anything else that is equivalent. I mean, he's been very critical in the past of quote unquote YouTubians. Um, and that's strange because at the end of the day, he just has someone else publish a video of him talking on YouTube, really. Why not have his own YouTube channel? I know there's some other YouTube channels that document his Instagram live streams and things like that. But at least based on what he said, and again, this man is a liar, so maybe he has a secret one somewhere. But based on what he said, he doesn't have his own YouTube channel. Why? And I'll be honest, given the lane of work he's chosen, it actually looks unprofessional. It doesn't make sense. So I think these are things to look at and just think about. What is behind that? I think some of that is disorganization. So if someone has risen to that level and is disorganized, that's concerning for everyone. Because one who authorized them to be speaking at that level, because to some extent, everyone is authorized by other people to speak, right? People put them on, people listen to them, people endorse them. Even if you criticize someone, and I have to say this, yes, to an extent, I am quote unquote authorizing Dr. Umar because I'm criticizing him, but that's not my choice. If someone has been all over the media and all up in my feed since I was like 17, at some point I have to speak on it. Okay. So that's not my choice. But people who did it before he got big and people who've been doing it even when it's not really here we go. What do I mean? I'll say people who have authorized him both by helping him, like outwardly, and by criticizing him and drawing attention to him. People who've done that even when um, it's not urgent to. and I'm speaking specifically of people who are in a position to blow him up. Because, uh, I mean, obviously my videos about him could blow up, but, um, you know, do I want to signify myself? I hope you know what I mean. There are people with like more, I'll express that. Let me just go for a walk. Okay, I thought of the way to express the thought. All right, let me say it like this: there are people with different connections than me, whose word will blow him up in a different way than my word will, whether that's positive or negative. So those people have authorized him by just drawing attention to him, and I'll just say it like that. So it calls those people into a question, because why would you blow up someone who's that disorganized, and especially without blowing up a bunch of other people so there's a spread? Dr. Umar has a disproportionate amount of attention um, in the media today, especially among, um, I'll just say, black people who speak a lot about what I'll call survival, especially survival of the black race, because that's really what he's doing. It's basic, but because there's a lot of crime in the world today, and because black people are disproportionately the victims of crime, and of course, racism is itself a crime, elaborate is itself a crime. It's um I mean it just there's a lot of desire to explore that subject. I'll just say it like that because I don't know if there's ever a time you shouldn't be talking about survival. Give me a second. Forgive me. Someone else came in here. Not bad. It's just I had to turn the volume off. Nothing bad. There's also a child here. Shout out to them. Let's pray for them. May they grow. Yeah, just some people taking a tour. Anyway, um, so because of Dr. Umar's position and his station, for him to occupy that much attention relatively is not good. And it calls a lot of people into question. And then also, in addition to, his own organization, these discrepancies I've talked about, they call into question his intention. Does he not want to get too big or something, which is weird, or does he want to project a certain image? Maybe does he want to look like, he's suffering more than he is? I don't know. Anyway, these are things to look into. I also want to add this. Even though, he's a big media figure, he's still distant to a lot of people. So a lot of people might not think it's important to look into him, but that's very bad. I think in our world today, people are too distant from each other, but they also forget that distant people can still have an effect on you. So just because he's distant doesn't mean we shouldn't take this seriously. Anyway, thank you very much. Please patronize my business, buy my art, buy my merchandise, subscribe on Patreon. You can subscribe some other places, but the Patreon subscription, and these are paid subscriptions. Obviously, I mean, you can even subscribe on Patreon for free, actually. You'll get email notifications. I want to always note that now, but to patronize the business, you can do a paid subscription on Patreon. And then, of course, you can subscribe for free here on YouTube. But if you do the paid subscription on Patreon, you get the most comprehensive set of benefits. And then you can donate. You can donate on PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. Please go to my About section to check out the links for all of these things. And if you already have the links to these things and the handles for my PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App, you can hit them up there. And then once more, I also want to shout out my GoFundMe. That's still another option. Anyway, thank you very much. See you. Let's wait till I can get the short up. Well, one went up. Okay, let's. Well, I got one. Anyway, see you guys next time.